welcome to Information Slips. Today I will be starting a new series. I'm trying to get everything to better being organized. So I'm going to start a sermon series, and the sermon series is going to be called Barbelo's Garden. Okay, and we're going to go uh, to the title and then the purpose of it. So the title of it will be Faith and Purpose in the Garden, and then it'll be Barbelo's Blueprint. Okay, so I have a new setup where on the beginning of the video, you'll see where I will have the scriptures that I will be going over and using. That way you can go ahead and pre-mark it before we even get into doing the sermon. Um, so you don't have to be, rushing to figure out stuff while you're in it. And I didn't mark mine in my book. I don't know why I didn't, but I'll have my Bible open regardless. But the stuff will be in the beginning. And then there's another portion where I have a printout. Well, I got to get it to get a printout. But I have a portion where you can take notes and then have it sectioned off for you. That way it's a lot easier for you to just tag along, write down what it is you need to write down, see what needs to be seen and everything. Like to keep up with what this portion was about. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And hopefully I can keep it in its time frame. Okay. So in Barbelo's name, I pray that you give me the strength and the energy to get through this sermon. I pray that it gets to whom it needs to get to and help them have an understanding. I pray that you continue to guide me and to continue to help me gain the understanding I need to gain. And I pray that we continue to navigate this together and help others seek you, question you, and find comfort in you. And I pray that in Barbelo's name, Sula. And happy Mother's Day to Barbelo because she's the creatrix of all, the mother of all. We would not be here if it wasn't for her. So I'm going to go ahead and start. Like I said, it didn't have in the beginning where it would have the portion where what we're talking about, the title and all that would be already up there. So we can go ahead and move forward. It's going to be multiple episodes. I don't know if it's called episodes, but it'll be multiple portions where it'll be like the same topic, but it'll have different purposes under it. Okay, and each week it'll change. So this week is about Barbelo's Blueprint. And we're going to be starting this off in understanding Barbelo, her placement in all of this, and God's placement in all of it. Okay, so we're talking about garden. It sounds like we're talking about the Garden of Eden. And when you're thinking of the Garden of Eden, you're thinking about the Garden of Eden being this whole land, right? This is Eden, right? When you're talking about Garden of Eden, you're thinking of this as the Garden of Eden, right? In reality, you're talking about Eden and this being a garden in Eden. It's not the Garden of Eden, it's the Garden in Eden, okay? All the rest of this is Eden, it's just a garden in it. And you'll see how this will play out over the same way as it's played out with the creation of the Father created the universe, right? God creating the universe, and then the Mother creating the host universe of the multiverse. And it's all constructed in the same manner. So as you see how created heaven and earth, and there's a firmament in there in the earth, you'll see the same concept. It'll be heaven, earth, firmament, garden, right? So the garden concept will go across from Eden. It'll go across from to God, and then it'll go across from the host universe of the multiverse. Okay. But first, let's go ahead and get. I forgot to get me a piece of paper towel. Let's go ahead and get into Barbelo. 1 second. So we're going to start off with John 1:1. It's talking about in the beginning. I'm not going to write all of it because you're going to be able to look at it in your book. But I'm going to turn to John 1:1. But like I said, this would give you a chance to mark it out, place it out in your book before we get to it, or your Bible before we get to it. So it doesn't take too long to get to it. But I think I kind of already got mine written out enough to just go from there. But it reads in John 1:1, it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Now, if we're saying in the beginning was the Word, right? Barbelo is knowledge, okay? Barbelo is knowledge. Okay, so in the beginning was the Word. Then it says, and the Word was with God, right? So now you got Word and God in the beginning. Okay? And then it says, and the Word was God. Okay, so now you're saying God, but the Word was also God. Right? So you got two gods happening now. You have a God and you have a goddess. Right? You have a God and you have a goddess. So again, it reads, in the beginning was the Word. Right? In the beginning was the Word. And the Word was with God. And the Word was God. So whenever you get into Genesis and you read Genesis from the beginning, you just read from the beginning. In the beginning, in Genesis 1:1, in the beginning, God created heaven and earth. Right? So this is sounding like it's a singular a creation, like a singular being creating this, correct? Right? Sounds like a singular being is creating this here. Now, if you go over to Genesis 1:27, it says, so God created, well, if you go to Genesis 1:26, he said, let us make man in our image. That means it's plural. It's more than one. Okay? It's more than one. So there had to be another God there. Who was this other God? The other God was Word. Who was Word? Knowledge. Who was knowledge? Barbelo. Right? In the beginning was the Word. And the Word was with God. Where does that show that the Word was with God? It shows that the Word was with God in Genesis 1:27, right? Where it talks about God and then it talks about male and female creating. You can't create if you're not equal. Like you're both there creating. So that means you have to be of equal power, some sort. So that means you have to be a God of the same power to be able to create. So this is knowledge. This is Barbelo, right? She's the Word. The Word was before God, okay? And the Word was God. So it tells you all in all, she is there, right? This is confirmation that she is there. So the purpose of me saying that is you have to be able to now break down what's happening in the beginning, because when you read it in an aspect of God creating the universe, right? But if you've never had a dynamic of the feminine creating the universe, you're only going to see it from one way, only a masculine creating the universe, which is incorrect because women are the creators, right? They're the creatrix, okay? So when you read this, you are now seeing it as he's doing the same thing as Yahweh did, taking Barbelo's blueprint and creating his garden, right? His garden. What would his garden be? His garden would be the universe, this universe, right? It would be this universe. Okay, well then what's Barbelo's universe? Barbelo's universe, or Barbelo's garden is the host universe of the multiverse, right? Because it's only sounding like there's only one universe, right? Sounds like he's only created one singular universe, and this holds a lot, right? So if you look up what's inside of a universe, it holds quite a bit, right? But this is a singular universe to her multiverse. Her host multiverse, or her host universe is hosting all the multiverses, all these different universes in it. And you know, when you're thinking if you're thinking only this way is the only way to go, then you're not going to be thinking, oh, there's another universe out there, there's other universes. To him, it's not. To him, it's not. This is the only universe. To her, it is. There's more than one universe, right? There's more than one universe. So you'll see how he takes her blueprints and use it to create his universe, right? Okay. Got this section. All right. So the main thing is I'm gonna do some drawings as well. That way we can keep up with it. You can do these drawings to help you look into it. I'm gonna also add in the Garden of Eden. So you can see the comparison of it, okay? So you have, this is Yahweh's, this is God, this is Barbelo, right? All these are gardens, okay? Right, so this is, and there's different levels to it as well. So sorry if I hope I'm not outside of the frame, but There's different levels to it. Okay, this right here, his garden, is your lady lord level garden. His level here is your goddess and God level garden. Okay, this level here is your creatrix slash creator level garden. Okay, now, I'm sorry, let me go just a tad bit. I feel like I'm not fully grounded yet. Okay, so here, his is a garden on this earth. Each of them has an earth. Okay, each of them has an earth, but it's kind of a different earth. And you can see where it says it created heaven and earth. There's a difference in it. So his garden is here in Eden on earth. That's his garden, right? It's all full. He has his firmament, everything in it, right? That's his creation, right? Then you have him. He has a universe. He creates a universe, right? So he has this, right? And that has a lot going on in it. All that has a lot going in it. Like you look up, if you go to look up what's in one singular universe, this is just to give you an idea, and this is an estimate for what I pulled up online. The components of a universe. A single universe hosts 2 trillion galaxies, 20,000 nebula, 200 billion trillion stars, and 106 trillion planets, right? So it's a lot going on in this universe. It's not like it's nothing small, right? Not like it's nothing small. But in her universe, she is the host universe of universes, okay? This is her garden. So whatever you got in this one singular universe is in each of these universes in her multiverse. Okay? And his garden is inside here. This is his garden in here. Okay? That's his garden. Okay, so you'll see the difference. This is a I don't know if you would put it like I'll put this universe, host universe. Multiverse. His is a garden. I don't know other way to put his right now. But the idea, the point I'm trying to make is that when you're reading Genesis 1, when you're reading Genesis period, if you're acknowledging and having the capacity to respect the fact that there's a feminine, right? If you have the capacity to think outside of this universe, you can now see her host universe, hosting universes. Okay? Her creation, all of this, they use a blueprint, just like he did. Everybody, it's a blueprint. They had to use her blueprint to create. Why? Because it's a way of life. Okay? So, then whenever you start reading it, now you're just like, okay, well, when I read this from in the beginning, God created heaven and earth. You're now thinking of a God, and then you're thinking of a goddess, right? Which God created this universe, right? You should know his name, right? Which God created this universe? Are you going to say Yahweh created this universe? Or God the Father? And if it is God the Father, what's his name? It's important, okay? So again, whenever you're reading it, it's being able to take it into context of it's the same structure happening to create a garden, right? And each of them have a piece of earth. Now, what is this earth? This earth is a piece of space in time, right? It's land, but it's a piece of space in time. So this is time manifested, right? This is time, land. Right? So that would then allow you to think, okay, well then there's different pieces of time space of lands in her multiverse, right? But this one only has one Earth. This one only has one. Okay? So this is time here, and then time here. Oh. Right? Right? It's land. Okay, so now you got this. You got the earth. Now it says she created. Because I'm gonna go ahead and stick with that. Excuse me. She created the heavens and the earth. Now, if you notice, it also says heavens. Why does it say heavens if it's only one heaven? Because then are you talking about all the stuff that's inside of this? Like the heavens, like the space, right? Because then this space can't be where God is in. Like he has to be somewhere else. He can't be in just space, right? He has to have his heaven, his resting place should be somewhere, right? So what it says is, I'll get to that in just a second. But I don't know where it's going at. Thailand. Oh, so each of them has a piece of time and land, and then so do you. What do you mean? I have a piece of land, piece of earth. You're here on this earth, so you have time, right? You know, whenever you get whenever you're with you get your assignment or your purpose from Jesus or from God or whatever. They give you a certain location. They give you a certain time. They give you certain whatever. You have a purpose to fulfill in that space. That's your garden. That is your garden. And what do you, and this is the thing, this is why this now is so important to understand this. This is you in your Lord and Lady form. You are supposed to be creating your garden, right? You're supposed to be maintaining your garden because they've already, like God has already God and Goddess has already told you what you're supposed to be doing. Well, God, because you know the Goddess hasn't been in it, but God has already told you what you should be doing. You've got this piece of land, you've got this assignment, you've got this purpose. You need to go take care of it, cultivate it, grow it, and then ensure that it can go, like it's going to serve its purpose here in this earth, on this earth, right? So the concept will still be the same thing. Each of these universes have the same purpose. It has a assignment. It has a purpose. It has a meaning inside Barbelo's universe. Everything has its purpose, and it needs to be. Each of them is supposed to be taken care of. Each universe is supposed to be taken care of, functioning a certain way, in whatever way she has assigned for it to be. Right? It's an assignment for everything. Everything's supposed to have a way of being. Okay, but you're supposed to take care of it. So when you now think of it as yourself as Lord and Lady, and where did I get Lady from? Because you said when this will be the opposite. This will be the feminine side of Lord, right? That'd be the feminine way of saying Lord. Okay, so that's where I get Lord and Lady from. All right. So when you're doing this, so if you're looking at my channel, you're trying to get to know more about the feminine aspect of things. Okay, so it's just clear. So I'm not gonna sit here and try to focus on the masculine aspect, because if you're gonna be over here talking about where there's only one universe, okay, that's true to you, right? You're thinking about only this God. That's the God you're trying to stay under. That's fine. But for the ones who's trying to see the feminine, Barbelo, their minds are already open to the concept there is a multiverse, right? Or either you're going to deny science at that. Is science lying, or is it just talking about, is science just talking about this universe? Or is it talking about these universes? Because it can't say it has a multiverse and this is only one universe. Like there's something's not adding up in that. There's a multiverse, right? There's a multiverse. So Barbelo created the multiverse and she hosts it. And there's a dynamic also when it comes to this. And you'll see, continue to read Genesis over. Again, you'll see wherever, how did I have that drawn out? Oh, it's right next. Okay, in the Genesis, it'll also tell you how things have been structured. You'll see how, like literally what you read is how you should be taking this same dynamic and structuring your stuff, right? You're supposed to be able to structure whatever you're gifted, whatever you're given, whatever you're told to do, right? In each of these, you'll see that here, in this space here, right? In between everything, this is space. This is where the Spirit of God is. Okay, and what is that? That is consciousness. Right? So God's consciousness is in it. So if you're saying, oh, well, Jesus is my source. If Jesus is your source, excuse me, if Yahweh is your source, okay, this is where his consciousness should be in effect. Right? Same here. His spirit will be in this. Right? His spirit will be in all of this. Her spirit will be in all of this. Right? Her consciousness should be in all of this. His consciousness is here. His consciousness is here. But her consciousness is not really known. Like her existence isn't known. Yet her consciousness is here. And the reason why we're all here or even exist. Okay? So this will mean this be a different connection to sources, and figure out which is your source. That's important because your source should lead you where you're supposed to go. As for me, my source, Barbelo. Okay? That's my source. She leads me where I need to go. And if you're under the Father, then your source will be God, right? So you should be able to see him in his fullness, just like you should be able to see Barbelo in her fullness, just like you should be able to see Yahweh in his fullness, and accept it, because understand source is both good and bad. Okay, you can't sit there and be like, oh, it's all good. No, that's a lie. It's good and bad. And you have to be able to accept that side if it's your source and try to understand its bad side. I don't even say just its humanity. It in itself, in its fullness, as much as possible. Like, you shouldn't feel bad for questioning if something sounds off. You know what I mean? If something sounds like, well, did you do this intentionally in a mean way? Would you ever even question the Father or Jesus if they did something rude or mean or just seemed like unreasonable? Or would you feel like, oh, that's not my place to say, oh, you did something wrong? If something felt wrong, then it was wrong. Go ask about it. Go ask about it. And then be true to yourself about how the situation felt, and be true to them, like, I didn't like the way that felt. That wasn't okay. And you should be able to express your emotions, your feelings to them about whatever the case may be. Okay. So again, this is where they had the blueprint. This is the blueprint, the layout of the garden, the universe, the multiverse, the host multiverse. The host universe, okay? And it's important to have this, because if you don't know how to structure yourself, or if you don't know which stage you're in your process, you're going to be trying to reach for something, and you're going to be missing the step that's needed. You're going to be missing what all you need, the components you need. You're going to be missing stuff that you need help with, right? So, I don't want to go too far because I don't know how long. I might end up going all the way through. I'm trying not to get to my second one. Okay. So, on the topic of being that you now have, if you read Genesis 1, if you read Genesis period, or Genesis up to, I think, about 4 or 5, because it's kind of where we're at with everything right now. Again, you will see a lot of copy-paste situation, which is fine, because it's structured. It works. Why change it? Right? It's structured. It works. Okay? But you have to be real about it. If God is saying this is the only universe, and that's the only universe that he has control over. Right? He created this. That's his universe. You can't sit there and say, oh, there's a multiverse. Okay, then why weren't you speaking about the rest of them? And then you have to be able to accept the fact that, where's this at? You have to be able to accept the fact that Earth is God's last creation. Earth is also Barbelo's last creation. Okay? It is the last creation, right? Man is also their last creation of a being, right? So to you, because me, if you're talking about multiverse, hey, there's other things out here. Okay, cool. I can accept that. To him, man is the only being that's ever existed. That's his only creation, right? That's his only creation, and that's okay, right? But if you're talking about a multiverse, there's different stuff out here, and it's just like, okay, well, it's a lot of life to be had, right? It's kind of weird to think like, hey, man is the only one that's possibly could ever be created, and all of this, that doesn't make sense to me. But I'm gonna show you where it says. So the Genesis is about the creation of heaven and earth, right? So he's talking about his heaven, and he's talking about his earth, right? She's talking about her heaven. She's talking about her earth, right? These are all the same earth, right? Because we had this, we all in the same book, right? So we all at this point, this is the last piece of creation. Their last being creation is man, okay? And I'm going to show you why I say that. I say that because of Genesis 1. Genesis 2. Well, you could have looked back at Genesis 1:27. The last creation, the last thing they created was man. And then they had, the beasts and the birds and the fowl and everything else. But beings, right? So the last creation was man. They created man in heaven. This is something else I noted coming into this after reading it, because it keeps revealing itself, bit over bit. Yahweh did not create man. God and Barbelo created man. Yahweh did not create man. Right? What did Yahweh create? Go to Genesis 1:2, actually. Go to Genesis 2:7. And it says, and the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground. What he created was man of the dust of the ground. Okay? He did not create man. Man was not created here on earth. Man was created in heaven. He was created from the dust of the stars. Right? He was created from the heavens. Okay? What Yahweh did create is a vessel that had the capacity to now host the heavenly man, right? Spirit in it. He created man of the dust of the ground, right? So in its last form, this is the last form that could host man's existence, man's spirit. It had the capacity to hold it. Okay, nothing else could hold it. This was the last form that it could take on, right? It's not the lowest form. It's the last form it could take on. Okay, so he formed man of the dust of the ground. Barbelo and God formed man of the stars, like of the heavens. And then if you look back on or you go research some stuff, it says how we are made up of practically everything in this universe. Stardust, literal stardust, right? So they created the celestial body of man. But this flesh, this vessel had the capacity to host our spirit in its fullness, our consciousness in its fullness, right? So that's what he formed. He did not create it. God and Barbelo created it, because that's what it says. It says created from them two, and it says formed from him, right? So again, don't consider this form as anything lesser than its least or whatever. No, it's just the last form we take on. That's it. It's the last form we take on, right? So this form is considered your Lady and Lord form, same as Lord God, Yahweh. This will be his Lord form, right? Made up of the same thing, should be, or however he goes about it, however it's going. But it says Lord God, so I think he was kind of a mixture between Lord and his Lord form and his God form, right? A little bit of half and half, demigod type situation. Demigod, because then it switches over to Lord after a while. Something happened where he loses his God title. He is now known as Lord, and I think that happened after Eve ate of the fruit. That's when he got his proper title. His title would have been Lord, because again, she has the knowledge of the gods. She now knows the identity of all the gods that's there, and If you can't say nothing else, you know now it's more than one God there, right? You know it's at least more than one God there, okay? So the same thing that Yahweh did, he created his garden. Is what you should be doing. Whatever God, whatever Jesus, whatever uh, God has given you, right, to work on, to do in this time frame that you have here on this earth, you're supposed to be doing that, right? But you have to understand exactly what that means. And next week I'll be getting into what Lady and Lord um, authority does. But I'm gonna tell you what this portion has here, because each level has something different, right? Each level has some kind of authority um, over something. So, excuse me. Okay. And I gotta get to the paradox of knowledge. And I'm gonna go over that. I should have time. I should need just enough time to do everything. That hurts. So there is a creatrix, creator power. There is a goddess and God power. There's a lady and there's a Lord power. Okay. So there's certain things only you can get at a certain level. Okay. And to get each level is a certain knowledge that is unlocked, right? That you're given, you're gifted. Okay. You cannot get new knowledge of this level until you've mastered this level. You can't do it. So whenever you're with whomever you're under, like with me, I'm under Barbelo, I'm going to get my lady assignment, my lady knowledge. I have to learn how to master that. I have to learn how to operate in it. I have to learn what that means, what that does, what I'm supposed to be doing with it. And once I'm done with it, bring it back to her the knowledge she's given me, processed in time, right? It has to be processed. She didn't just give me this piece of knowledge just so I can bring it right back to her the exact same thing. No. Take it, do what you're supposed to do with it, bring it back to me. And then if I'm pleased, and then if she's pleased, right, then you would you would then get your God knowledge, right? Your God level knowledge. But it's only at a certain level. You will not get something new until you've mastered this and you've put your all into it. You're supposed to be creating a garden. You're supposed to be, right? And if you're going to create it, use the text. Use the Bible to do so. It's teaching you how to do so. Okay? So here, the power and authority of the creator, because God has a different power than Barbara has a different power than God would have, right? And God has a different power than Yahweh would have. Okay? So I believe, I'm saying I believe because I'm still Barbelo's power is her thought, word, and her silence. Okay? That's her creatrix power. That's her creator power. And it doesn't seem like it's much, but it's a lot into it. Okay? And then he has a power. His power will be his word. I believe his word is his power. And then his power will be the work of his hands. Right? You see how that plays out? She has thought, word, silence. He has word, and then he has work of his hands. Each level has something different, right? Each level has something different because each thing pulls things in, right? And it happens whenever you speak, you should have authority over. So if you have this level here, you should have authority over. And I'm looking, and this is in the garden. Yahweh had authority over angels. In Genesis 1:3-24. Let's talk about the cherubim. He commanded and or made a request to the angels, and they listened. Right? That's his Lord. I think that would be his Lord power. I don't know if that would be his Lord God power. Perhaps that may be his Lord God power, but I'm sure they continue to listen. I don't know. I have to be sure before I fully make that. But that's either a God power or a Lord power. Right? So again, when you talking to your angels, understand you should have that authority to say, I need this in this situation. I need help. Help me out. What do I need to do? Let them know, because like they're there to help you do what it is you need to do. Okay? His authority will come, his power and authority will come wherever when he speaks, right? So that the atmosphere should change. Things should change because he speaks it into existence. He says it, it happens. That should be your God power. Right? Work of your hands. His work of his hands was the garden. His was his words. And then hers would have been her thought. Okay? Her thought. But each of them, you have to be able to find a way to connect to them each and then acknowledge, because even if you're working with Yahweh, or excuse me, you're working with Jesus. If you're with Jesus and then you're with the Father, why would you not want to know what the mother has in store for you? Why would it be such a bad concept to think, oh, there's a mother, there's a feminine aspect in it, right? There's a mother to it. And then you have a name, and it sounds weird because you have a name. Because the only name you want to call on is Jesus, and everything else is attached to it. But I'm telling you who she is, where she is in it, and that she has more for you. It literally should be something where you can pass off like blueprint, and then you master your Lord side, and you master your God side, and you master your creator and creatrix side, right? Did they not just say they made man in their own image? So God made man in his image, just like Barbelo made man in her image, right? And man covers man, woman, man. Man was created by them. Okay, that's their last form. I don't know if I finished off while I was saying that was it. That was the last form. But this was the earth was their last creation. But in Genesis 2:1 it says, "Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all hosts of them." Right, and then he created seven, and on the seventh day his work. On the seventh day God ended his work which he had made. That's it. Earth is it. Man is the last creation. Right? So there's a purpose to why they created this form. Right? There's a purpose to it. Why they created man, right? So you have to find out what the purpose is. So you should be able to ask and seek, right? So you can ask the Father, what's the purpose of it, however the case may be, but for the mother, ask her as well. What's the purpose of this, and why is this our last form? And what are we supposed to be doing in this, right? What happens, okay? So I'm gonna talk about the heavens as well, because it was new to me to learn that the heaven isn't like outside the firmament. It's not outside the firmament. It's in like literally within the firmament, right there. That's heaven, in the firmament. So God's throne literally should be inside the heaven, like inside the firmament, which is his throne. Right? Barbelo also has it. Hers will be on this, like in the heaven or above it. Right? But the heavens should be your resting place. Isn't that the concept? You go to heaven after you die. That's your resting place, right? This will be God's resting place. Right? You can look into heaven is the firmament in Genesis 1:8. You can look into the firmament in Genesis 1:6. I think that's when he created it, or called it into existence. And then on the earth is Genesis 9. Goodness gracious, that's hurting. Real bad. Okay. Okay, so this is pretty much, I think I've gotten to the main point. Oh, did I get to the paradox of knowledge? I didn't. I skipped over that. I'm going to get to this real quick, the paradox of knowledge, so you can see this final piece. But understand, you're supposed to be creating you a garden. And what does that mean? Whatever piece of space you're given, take it and create. Right? So when we get into next week I'll be teaching you about being a lady in the Lord and what your garden should look like, or how it should be, and where there is another garden, right? I'm gonna show you where it is in there, but I really want to pace myself out as much as possible, not get too far ahead and then be out of content. So what was I saying? The paradox of knowledge. All right, so paradox means it's self-contradictory, but it is proven true. Okay. So if it's saying the paradox of knowledge is self-contradictory, but it proves true. Where am I at? Because I did a whole lot to this one. This means it is and it isn't at the same time, and it's still true both ways. Right? It is and it isn't at the same time, it's still proven true both ways. So if you say knowledge, the opposite of knowledge is ignorance. Okay? You can't sit there and be like, oh, you're so full of knowledge and ignorant at the same time. Yeah, you can be. Yes, you can be. Right? But I'm going to show you how this plays out in this portion, and I'm kind of just leave that there for now. In Genesis 1:1, Genesis 1:2, I think that's where I'm going to stick with that one. And yeah, I got enough time. Genesis 1:2. So I'm going to break down some of these words, and then we're going to put it in a sentence and read it together. So you're going to see how this is either talking about God, Father, right? God creating the universe, or you got Barbelo creating the multiverse. Okay? So, Genesis, Genesis 1:2. And it says, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. Okay? So you got earth. Earth means world or space. Okay? And you got form. Visible shape. No defined structure. No defined structure. You got void, empty, and full. Darkness. This is the main thing, darkness. You have ignorance and knowledge. Right? This is life. This is death. So like I was saying last week, how whenever you get some knowledge, it gets so dark. But it also says knowledge is light. But knowledge illuminates the truth. So how does it get dark if it's illuminated the truth? And it's the light. Right? How does it do that? Right? It reveals the truth, and the truth gets dark. Right? And you can either choose to go, back into the ignorance, or choose to ignore what you know, ignore what you see, or whatever the case may be. But that knowledge is still there, and it's still dark. And then you can use the same knowledge and find light in that knowledge, in that darkness. Right? So, again, knowledge is light and dark, but it's darkness, well, light and dark, yes. But it's like a black light. It's a dark light. It's there, but it's going to keep cycling over and over and over again until you get it. Or it's a cycle. I don't think it stops. Like, it's going to be good, bad, however it may come and happen. Okay. I don't have enough room to write this down, so I hope you wrote this down to see it, because now I gotta erase it. But again, you can see how this is talking about a universe. This is a universe. This is a space. Like, this is the host, right? The universe, host. And then you have a visible shape. universe, host, universe, host, universe, host. Okay. Two different creation stories happening here, but it's from the same blueprint. From the same blueprint. Okay? And then you got upon. Sorry if you can't see this because it's running out of ink. On, under, face, above, below, deep, extend it down from surface. I'll go ahead and write it out. And then you have extend above surface. Okay? So if you take all this, so please write it down so you can take it all in and read it and then see again where things are different, right? So you got, I think it's still in the same manner, but it'd be universe, host, universe, host, universe, host. Right? So it's two different things happening here. So like I said, whenever I said God says earth is the last creation and under earth is the underworld or whatever. Yeah, my pens. So he says this is the last piece of everything. And so does Barbelo. She says the earth is it, right? But he says there's like the underworld under here. She says there's life under here. I don't know how. She says there's life under there, right? So it's two different things. Okay, so again, take that, put it in a sentence, put it back in a sentence, and then compare it to Genesis 1-2, and then read it, fully so you get a concept of why I'm saying, underworld and life after that or whatever. But again, if you're operating in a host universe, all of this is still this is still something. The space in between each universe is still something, right? It's not automatically this is it. There's nothing else under this. This is where you go to hell, or I don't know. But she's saying there's something under this, but he's saying there's only hell under this. So it's just like, okay, well, to your universe may be, right? To her universe, she may see it a bit different. Okay. And if you're gonna keep reading, it's definitely Google. Definitely Google the meaning of paradox and then read it in the aspect. So it's like literally both ways. It should be the polar opposites, but it's true. So all that I'm saying is still very much true for Barbelo as in it being a singular universe and then the host of the multiverse, right? It's still the same dynamic. Still be used across the board. Same thing. Okay? Same thing. Same thing. I think that's all I have for today. But all in all, Barbelo is talking about the creation of space, as in the host universe of the multiverses. Okay? So when you look up into the sky and you see the black between the stars, that's Barbelo. Right? That would be the concept of space between the stars. Right? And then the stars would be the concept of the multiverse that's within her. Right? That would be the concept of it. And then say your home should be your garden. Right? So Barbelo has her garden. God has his garden, and then you should have your garden, right? But each of them has a different power and authority, okay? And you should know it. So this week, I think the main thing will be to study Genesis 1. Study all of it, Genesis 1 up to probably Genesis 3, maybe 4, if you want to go 4. I think 4 is when we're really going to start next week. And how we can apply that to our Lord and Lady form. And then I'll move forward from that point on. But I'm going to leave it off on this note today because I think that's just good enough, and it serves its purpose for you being able to see, if you're going to read it from the context of Barbelo being present, right? So you're seeing God use the same format Barbelo used to create the host universe, right? Of the multiverse. It's the same thing. Okay, so this is meant to expanding your mind, expanding your thought process. Okay, but do understand, they created man in heaven. They created man from there, right? Yahweh created a vessel that had a capacity to host us, right? A capacity to host man, right? So, yeah, take your time, read it, break it down bit by bit. Seek Barbelo. If nothing else, please do. Please seek Barbelo on everything. Ask her questions, and take notes of what it is you would like to take notes of. I think at this point, I'm gonna put the worksheet that I had. It's not printable just yet, but I'm gonna post it at the end of this, and then you can just take notes or whatever. And whenever I make it a printable, you can take it and use it from that point on, or make it where you can download it or something like that. But I'm getting to it. I'm just doing bit by bit. You also see the new design that I finally got up, so I'm definitely putting more effort into it, trying to do it right. So like I said, you'll be seeing me growing over the course of time. So again, I thank you for coming and enjoying and listening to me trying to represent the mother the best way possible and explain it the best way possible. I'm trying to get more organized, but I feel like next week it'll really be something you can take and apply to your daily life, because that's my main thing. I want to be able to have it where people can take it and apply it and use it on a daily basis. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out. And again, wish Barbelo a happy Mother's Day, even though it's, and happy Mother's Day to all the beautiful mothers out there, and learning about, the mother, period. So I want to thank Barbelo. In Barbelo's name, I want to thank you for all that you have done, will do, and are doing. I thank you for guiding me in this, and I pray that I've given the best understanding I could of this. I pray people really do be able to receive you and seek you for your knowledge, for whom you are, get to know you outside of your knowledge, and build a relationship with you. That's really, really important. That's something I'm also working on too. But I pray that they continue to know that you have been present. You have a presence here. And it's not meant to be shut down, put away, dismissed, and disrespected. Right? It needs to be acknowledged that she is here for us. Her spirit is operating here through us in this earth, however you may want to put it, but she has been here, ensuring that she will be acknowledged, and that she will still be able to get to whom she's trying to get to. And I pray that we continue to seek her in each and every way, and that I continue to help get this message across, no matter what. And I pray that people will receive you and receive this message, and not feel so scared to being in the idea of Barbelo, because it sounds like it's just odd. It's not, something they usually hear. There's a reason it's not usually heard. There's a reason they not trying to talk too much about her, right? Not trying to mention her existence at all. So I thank you for all that you have done, will do, and are doing. I pray you keep us covered and protected. Pray for our angels, and I pray over our earth angels, and thank you for all of existence. Most of existence. I pray that in Barbelo's name, Sula. Yeah, have a good day.